Hello one and all, Brian Zane here to give you my predictions for this Sunday's big pay-per-view event from AEW, known simply as Revolution. A lot of matches on this show on Sunday. It concerns me a little bit considering one of them is going to go for an hour guaranteed. I don't know what it is about this show. I don't know if it's the booking or if it's because maybe even though I'm watching Dynamite every week still, I'm not like overanalyzing every ounce of it and I regurgitating those thoughts in a video form for review. I don't do that anymore. I don't know. Maybe it's just my vibe and my hype for this show isn't quite as strong as it's been in previous pay-per-view cycles. I still think it's going to be a fine show. I think the matches are all on paper going to deliver. It's just some of the creative I feel has been a bit lacking and a bit illogical. And I'm going to start with a match that I think really encapsulates that thought, talking about Chris Jericho versus Ricky Starks. I mean, since day one, since this angle began, and continued, people kind of went, why is Ricky Starks pursuing Jericho so much for a second matchup, considering he already beat him clean? And, you know, Jericho should have been the one going through the gauntlet match with his friend, with Ricky's friends, not the other way around. It just seemed very lopsided in that regard. So I hope that whatever either guy moves on to after this will be built a little more logically. I'm of two minds about this. I think it makes sense for Jericho to get his win back, but I also believe it's important to keep the momentum going for Ricky Starks, since he is very much being touted and built as this future star. I don't think a loss is going to kill him, but I think that if you want to just keep that train going, it's important to have a win. So my gut reaction, my gut thought is that Ricky Starks is going to win. Well, it's officially official. The four teams have finally been put in place for the AEW Tag Title match. You already have the Guns defending against the Acclaimed. Then they added Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal. And then this Wednesday on Dynamite, it was revealed that Orange Cassidy and Danhausen is going to be the final team in this matchup. I'm so excited that Danhausen's got a proper pay-per-view matchup on the main card and not on the buy-in. I think the potential interactions you're going to get with him and also just everyone else in this matchup is going to be really entertaining. That being said, I am totally flabbergasted as to who I think is going to win this one because I really don't see Orange and Danhausen winning it. I mean, Jarrett and Lethal, you can make that argument because I think they do have a good shtick going right now. But I also wouldn't be surprised if the Guns just hold on to it by hook or by crook. There's so many elements and so many ingredients in this tag team gumbo. It just makes me think that the natural conclusion is that the Guns are going to come out of this thing squeaky clean and win and retain. Texas Deathmatch as Jon Moxley takes on Hangman Page. I'm looking forward to this one a lot. Of all the matches we are going to see on Sunday, you know, contrary to what I was saying at the top of this review, this storyline in particular has had some of the best storytelling going on. And whether it be due to circumstances beyond their control, like Hangman's unfortunate concussion in the first match in this series, to what they've been able to do and build since then, playing off of that, I think has been really well done. And ooh boy, that go-home promo from Moxley that was taped after his match with Evil Uno the previous week, where he's already bleeding, this just angry, passionate, bordering on unhinged promo from Moxley there, and just the visual of him bleeding and dripping down the steps. If Moxley bled like half the rate that he does in wrestling, and he saved his bleeding for like bigger matches or stuff like this, it would be so much more impactful. Not to say that this wasn't impactful, but the idea of Moxley bleeding, it's just such a tired thing at this point. We all just kind of come to expect it. That being said, we're gonna get a lot more of it in this Texas Death Match. I'm expecting a lot of violence. I think it's gonna be an entertaining matchup. It's tough. I'm kind of at a bind as to who I'm gonna pick for this one. My heart of hearts says that Moxley is going to ultimately win the day here, although my heart aches a bit for Hangman because I feel that he has been just kind of in a rudderless pattern, so to speak, since losing the AEW title last year. I'd love to see him get in a position where he can get back into that spot, but that might come down the line another time. But I think right now I wouldn't be surprised if Moxley wins the death match. Christian Cage and Jungle Boy Jack Perry in a no-holds-barred match. Old Christian is finally back from his long-time injury and he's out for vengeance against Jungle Jack. And again, this is going to be another match full of emotion, I feel. There's going to be some pain in this one. I mean, Christian is such a fluid wrestler. He's good with just about everyone he works with, and that's been consistent throughout his career. And I think Jungle Boy has really come into his own in the last year and a half. This is going to be a match a long time in the making, and I'm glad we're finally getting it now. My prediction going into this, and now Christian did say he's going to win a singles title sometime this year. Might be full of shit, Might be not. We don't know. That being said, my prediction is Jungle Boy is going to win this matchup here. I think he needs another kind of big win, another feather in his cap, and this angle's been going on so long with Jungle Boy kind of repeatedly taking down Luchasaurus and attacking Christian. I think it just makes a lot of sense for Jungle Boy to finally kind of show he can be a jungle man and just put Christian Cage out of his misery. For the World Trios Championship, the Elite will defend against the House of Black, and this is my early pick for match of the night contender. Just based on that lineup alone, I think it's going to be an incredible matchup. I love the potential of all 6 of these guys kind of just letting it all out there and doing what they do best. This is going to be a very fun match to watch. I think the brutality of the House of Black mixed with the flashiness of the Elite is going to lead to a very, very fun matchup, to be sure. As far as who I think is going to win this one, again, I mean, I could justify a reason, I can make an argument for the House of Black winning, and they stole the belts we saw on Dynamite this week. I could see them kind of winning it, holding on to it. Lord knows House of Black needs to chew on something to keep them looking good. The Elite, I don't think they need the belts, but I mean, that's why the belts were made, was for them. I think that at the end of the day, that the Elite are going to retain, keep their reign going. I don't know who's going to unseat Omega and the Young Bucks at this point, if not the House of Black in the short term, but I think it's going to be a great match. Jamie Hayter defends the AEW Women's World Title against Saraya and Ruby Soho in a triple threat match. I gotta say, I love how they've been building Jamie Hayter up in the last several months, between her build to winning the championship to the matches she's been having since then. I think has been really strong. And she's not just like Britt Baker's sidekick, she is her own woman, and Britt Baker just happens to be her friend at ringside. I was thinking about the idea of maybe Britt like turning on Jamie, because there's been so much telegraphing how much she supports Jamie, it just feels like, oh, heel turn's inevitable. But then I feel if she does that, then it kind of just muddies the waters of the heel side of things in the women's division, because then like what do you have Saraya and Toni Storm do? You know, Jade Cargill's on her own island, so I don't really know. It just seems like an extra fanciful thing I'm thinking of, but I don't know if that's going to happen for sure. I don't see Ruby Soho winning this one, but she has one of the actual like storylines going into this about she's kind of caught between two worlds. Which set of friends is she ultimately going to settle with? And I don't really see Saraya winning the belt just yet. My gut reaction tells me that Jamie is going to find a way to retain the belt here and maybe drop it to Saraya in a singles match at a future time. For the TNT Championship, Samoa Joe will defend against the man he beat for it in Wardlow. Gotta say, Wardlow losing the belt in the first place I thought was a bad call on top of a series of bad calls that seemed to be with Wardlow right after that MJF breakup, where I felt like, yeah, he won the belt, but then he was immediately put into this like storyline with like Mark Sterling and like the security guys. I might have the order of those two things mixed up, but they might as well be, because it just felt like this really weird step back for him after that big cathartic moment where he broke away from MJF. And yeah, I mean, I wish they went more into that storyline. I wish they hit it harder and earlier about what they did with the haircut and when Wardlow saying this is the connection I had to my late father and everything. But I think it's going to be a good, fun Hoss match. I think that Wardlow is going to regain the belt. Samoa Joe can finish and focus more on being the king of television, be the TV champion in the ROH show. I look forward to the inevitable big beefy Hoss fight, Wardlow versus Powerhouse Hobbs, who of course won the big Sonic ring in the Face of the Revolution ladder match at the Cow Palace this week on Dynamite. By the way, how cool was it to see Powerhouse Hobbs win a match like that in his home turf, in the building where he actually beat me 6 years ago for the AEW tag titles? No, I will not stop bringing that up when given the opportunity. Then it's time for the main event, the match that many people are looking forward to, and in some cases looking forward to getting it over with. I'm talking about the 60-minute IRONMAN match as MJF defends his Triple B against Bryan Danielson. Well, I had just recently seen an Ironman match in the last couple weeks before this show, so I'm about as well conditioned to see this thing as anyone. You know, a lot of the same inherent problems with the concept of an Ironman match remain, in the fact that some people aren't going to care about the previous 59 minutes of a match and only care about the last minute. But I hope they tell some good stories with this. I think that both men will be able to go. I think that there will be some blood in this one as well. Bryan Danielson does love to bleed. He and MOXLEY are kind of birds in a feather in that way. I think that a lot of this is going to be made up of MJF talking. I feel that like a good portion is going to be him kind of talking trash on the PA and just like, you know, filling time in that regard. There's going to be some shtick. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if we got a lot of that. It's way too predictable. It's like too much of an easy bet. Like, oh my gosh, of course Bryan Danielson's going to win because he's the Iron Man. He's the cardio guy. He's the one who's going to kick Max's fucking head in and all that stuff. But it just seems like it's going to be more of a star-making performance, potentially, for MJF. If he can pull off a great match with Danielson in this kind of environment that I think that he's going to be set for a while, I don't think the MJF experiment is over quite yet, and I think that he is going to end up winning by hook or by crook. At the last second, he's going to do something shady to get that final decision, and then he's going to win, and he's going to go haha, and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a long show regardless. I mean, that matchup, it's going to be a long one, whether they make it full of impactful stuff or not. An hour is an hour, so you got to condition yourself. So, you know, buckle in, get a snack, get an energy drink, because yeah, an hour is a long time to watch a wrestling match. But those are only my humble picks, folks, and I've been wrong before. So what do you think is going to happen this Sunday at Revolution? Let me know in the comment section below. And of course, I'll see you on the other side with my review of that pay-per-view. And before I wrap things up, now that it's been announced, I'm happy to share with y'all for WrestleMania weekend in Los Angeles, I'm going to be calling the action for Prestige Wrestling's big show, Nervous Breakdown, happening Friday, March 31st at 4 p.m. at the Globe Theater. It's going to be broadcasting on highspots.tv. Tickets are still available at prestigewrestling.net. I'm calling the action with my good friend Jordan Castle. This card is absolutely stacked. I cannot believe that I'm going to get the chance to call an Ultimo Dragon match and an Aja Kong match in 2023. What is life? Things are just crazy right now, and I can't wait for it. Hope to see you there. Hope you get to watch that show, and hey, have fun watching Revolution this Sunday. But until then, I'm Brian Zane, and I'll see you next time.